everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer. The DRF race of the day for Friday, August the 4th is one of two graded stakes races on the Saratoga program. Race number 8 is the Grade 2 $500,000 National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame. We're going a mile on the inner turf for 3-year-olds. Before we take a look at the field, remember that Breakthrough PPs just got better at Timeform US, which is available at DRF.com. Check out all the great features, DRF.com/TFUS 101. Here's the field for the Hall of Fame. You can scan or click the QR code for Race of the Day access on mobile. Mike, as you can see from our colleague David Aragona's morning line, a wide open race. Nagarak, the 7-2 morning line favorite.
It does feel like a very competitive running of this race, Dan. We'll see who winds up going favored. It could be Nagarak the 7. I would just say if he is the favorite come post time, probably a pretty good one to bet against.
It'll be interesting to see how this pace shakes out. We throw up the Timeform US pace projector. Nagarak has shown speed in the past. I guess he's going to be forwardly placed. I'm not sure how close General Jim will be. I know he's been chasing fast paces on dirt, but he seems like a horse that likes to sit back a bit. Carl Spackler was close to the pace last time out, but there's another one with sort of mid-pack range. Maybe Bat Flip and Appraise will try to get close, the 2 and the 3.
Yeah, I certainly thought that Bat Flip would show some speed from his inside draw here. I expect them to go forward. I think Carl Spackler will come out running from the far outside post stand. He did have to do some chasing the last time we saw him, but he also had the far outside post that day. He was bumped at the start, and then he sort of pulled his way forward. I feel like they must have designs on going forward in this race.
You'll note the LP flag over the number 1 chiclet. That chiclet belongs to More Than Looks, and the LP flag designates that he has the fastest late pace rating. Not surprising considering his stakes debut in his most recent start, the Grade 3 Manila, going a mile at Belmont. This is a race where, as usual, More Than Looks didn't break very well. He got a very nice ride from John Velasquez after that. He didn't lose much ground. He split horses on the turn. These two horses on the lead, which include Nagarak, the number 4, are involved in a pretty pitched battle, and More Than Looks runs right over him.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, if you weren't sure that he had the top late pace rated in this field, Dan, just go and pull any one of his replays. This horse is a very strong kicker through the stretch. That was the case in the Manila last time. You're right, though. The second, third finishers did sort of hook it up there and race in front of him. I still like the way he closed them down. I'm bothered by the fact that he seems like he's just pretty bad from the gate in all of his starts. But this horse can run.
Yeah, breaking from the rail, if he is a bit slow, at some point they're going to have to maneuver him to the outside and try to kick these horses down. But he certainly has ability and still retains some upside potential. Bat Flip's the number 2. Todd Pletcher is going to test this one because we haven't seen him since November. And this winning performance in the Central Park Stakes, he won his last 2 starts as a 2-year-old. And in the Central Park, Jose Ortiz got him right up close to the pace, and he sprints on home. This is a very likable performance for a colt with good tactical speed, and we know Todd can get one ready off the bench.
Yeah, the layoffs are maybe a little bit of a concern, but Pletcher can have one ready to go. Dan, I really liked this horse's races once they switched him over to grass last year. I know he had all the best of it when he broke his maiden there on the stretch out back at the end of October. He ran really well in that race that we just watched, though. He got bumped at the start. He was in tight, but Ortiz wanted this horse to go forward. He had to use him to secure that position at the rail. I like the way that he kicked on through the stretch there. I think this horse is pretty good. If he's ready off the layoff, he could be tough in here.
The number 3, Appraise, did some very good things as a 2-year-old for trainer Chad Brown, earned a Grade 1 placing up in Canada in the summer, and then he returned off of a lengthy layoff to win his prep, going 7/8 of a mile in a first-level allowance. And in this race, he got right up close to the pace. He was pushed early, although the fractions were reasonable, and then he's very game to score. Good effort off the layoff, something he could build off of, and he earned a respectable 86 buyer speed figure.
I think that's a perfect way to look at him, Dan, the way that you just laid it out. He was ready for this race. 7 furlongs isn't necessarily an easy distance to take on right off the bench. They went forward with him. He took on a couple of different challenges and fought him off. He easily held off the closer at the end. I thought that was a really good performance. I thought he ran well in the summer last September, too, when they tried that Grade 1 with him. I mean, he was no match for Mysterious Night that day, but he ran pretty well in his own right in there. I think this horse still has some upside.
Shipping in from Europe is the number 4 Ocean Vision, and Ocean Vision is dropping out of a Group 3 at Longchamp, going 7/8 of a mile. That was a very strong field. The runner-up came back to win a Group 1 race in France. We know how tough the quality of racing is there. A mile is not a problem for Ocean Vision, and it appears this horse does have a little bit of speed.
It does. He was in a good field last time, Dan, and I guess he acquitted himself pretty well. It's his other races that I guess are a little bit of a concern for me. He's run fine. I wonder how good he actually is. They're going to stretch him out a little bit further here, which probably isn't that big a deal. Listen, maybe he'll be some kind of good price in this race, so I won't knock him too hard. I'm just not sure how good he is.
We talked about how Todd is challenging bat flip off of the layoff. Chad's going to challenge the 5 Mischievous Angel, stretching him out a quarter of a mile in only his second lifetime start. Here's his debut, going 3/4 against maiden specials at Belmont. And Mischievous Angel is well off of the pace turning into the stretch. And it comes with a really strong run to win. This is a very well-bred gelding by Into Mischief that sold for $600,000 as a yearling.
This is a really good debut for this horse going short. A little green in the early stages, but he puts in a powerful finish through the stretch. He's going to run these horses right over and get away at the end of this race. I really liked this debut. He got a rock solid figure for it. And Chad, stepping him up into this race and stretching him right out. Those are probably good signs. It's not an easy race for him, but this horse might be all right.
10-1 on the morning line for Chad, and Arad Ortiz, the leading rider at the meet. The 6 is General Jim, who did some very good things on the turf as a 2-year-old. We saw him finish second in the Central Park behind Batflip, and then he went on and he earned multiple graded stakes wins earlier this year on the main track, going 7 furlongs in a mile. Just didn't fire his best shot in the Woody Stevens. Never really looked very comfortable in that race. I like the Chugs bringing him back to turf, maybe for a wake-up call.
Sort of interesting, right? That he comes back to the grass. His dirt form is obviously really good, but so was his turf form last year. He ran some really nice races. I didn't love his Central Park when Batflip beat him. He didn't run poorly in there, but overall his trip was pretty good. He had a real shot at it, and to me, he just wasn't quite good enough. Maybe that's what led Shug to try dirt with this horse, and that obviously worked out. I don't hate him coming back to turf in this race, Dan. I think he can be competitive in here. I would want a pretty good price, though, if I was going to bet him.
Nagarak, the number 7, the morning line favorite, enters this race off 2 consecutive 90 Buyers speed figures. He dominated the field in the listed James W. Murphy 2 starts back when he got a beautiful trip and ride from Flavian Pratt over a rock-hard turf course. And in the Manila last time out, he was very aggressively ridden, and he just hooked up with that third-place finisher through a very quick third quarter before being outfinished by More Than Looks. Maybe this horse will relax a little bit more in the early portion here.
I think that's a fair way to look at him, Dan. He could certainly get a better trip this time. Not that I think he had some kind of bad trip in the Manila last time, but maybe he just didn't want to be up there battling for the lead. All in all, I mean, even in that race, we saw the replay before. He looked like he had his head in front there from about the 8th pole to the 16th pole, but he couldn't get control there, and then he got out finished. I don't know. I thought he ran fine in there, but I didn't love the performance. He looked good winning 2 back. That field was atrocious, though. He was like the only horse in there. This is way tougher. The last one was way tougher. His overall form is fine. I'm not going to sit here and knock him too hard, but if he's the favorite, I'm betting someone else.
Back to North America from Europe is the 8 Mysterious Night for the always dangerous Godolphin Charlie Appleby tandem. This was a nice 2-year-old who shipped into Canada and won the Grade 1 summer. Nothing has gone right for him since in 2 starts this year. You rarely see Grade 1 winners get gelded. He was gelded before his most recent race, a Group 3. He didn't run well at all at a big price, although that race did produce a listed winner.
Yeah, it's kind of confounding to watch his first 2 starts as a 3-year-old. If you saw his summer last year where he was just loaded for the entire mile and buried that field, you would think he was going to be a really good 3-year-old, Dan. He's been really, really bad in his first 2 starts, and I haven't seen the excuses for him yet. Listen, they're shipping him over here. Maybe it's a good sign. We've seen these connections win tons of big races over here on the grass, but this horse has been bad in his 2 starts this year.
The number 9 is Behind Enemy Lines, who ran a nice race last time out in the Penn Mile. That's a grade 2 back in early June. And Behind Enemy Lines, I thought, well, that's not a pretty decent trip, made an outside move on the turn to get into contention, and he's just going to be outfinished by Major Dude, the favorite, in the final 16th of a mile. He tried really hard in this race, Mike. I thought it was a strong effort, and I liked his Cutler Bay, first time in North America. In his second start, the American Turf, he just didn't break well, wound up last down on the inside, and maybe that was just too much for him on that day.
Yeah, it's a tough call for me, Dan, because I agree with you. I thought his Cutler Bay was good. I thought he did run a good race last time. He was only second best there. It's his American Turf that I guess I just didn't really like that much. It feels like that was so far the toughest race that he's been in over here, and he didn't break great in there. But after that, I just thought he got a pretty good trip overall. He did finish ahead of Carl Spackler that day, but if I had to take one of those two horses out of the American Turf, I'd take Carl Spackler.
And Carl Spackler completes this field, and there's been a lot of buzz surrounding this horse since even before his career debut. He was so impressive, winning his maiden 2 starts back at Gulfstream, going this mile, and then last time out in the American Turf, he was kind of aggressively ridden. I was a bit surprised considering that the pace seemed solid, and then he got very tired at the end. I like that Chad has given him time since that race to recover, and I think we'll see more patient tactics. I think he'll be sent out of there, but he doesn't need the lead or to be pushing a hot pace.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, I think that maybe the bump at the start of that American Turf maybe just got him into the bridle day because he just pulled Jose Ortiz right up to the lead. He was 3 wide around the track, as you've already mentioned. That pace was pretty solid, and he was right up there the entire way before he got tired. I didn't want to be too hard on him for that performance. His maiden win was obviously really fast and really impressive. He even ran great in his debut. I mean, he did a ton of racing that day and only got nailed late by Farbridge, who's a really nice horse. I mean, I think this horse is pretty good. He's super dangerous in here.
And working bullets over the turf at Saratoga leading up to this start. Tyler Gaffalione picks up the mount. Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for the National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame. I've both been taken. I'm hoping last time wasn't the time for More Than Looks, Mike, because he was a fair price that day. He got a good setup, I guess, when the two pace setters kind of tried to sprint away with 5/16 left to go. If he can break well and stay at least close enough, I think he can outkick some of these.
I do too. He's going to need the right trip in this race for sure. But this horse has been good in all of his races, Dan. I want to take him right back in here and hope he pulls the right trip, saving some ground early. I have Batflip in there. I think he's going to run a good race in here. I'm not way against Carl Spackler. I just didn't think he'd be a great price, so I put him third. This is a really, really good race, though. I think a lot of different horses can win.
Certainly is. Mike's going 1, 2, 10, and 3. My sort of price play in here is Behind Enemy Lines, who I think has run well in most of his starts in North America. And I think he can kick on late with a patient ride. This race could all come down to trip. We're hoping that More Than Looks gets the right one. 1, 2, 10, 3, Mike. 1, 7, 9, 3 for me in the National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame. Best of luck.